Our goal is to break the power of the mob in America and nothing short of it. We mean to end their profits, imprison their members, and cripple their organization. Imprison their members and cripple their organization. Cripple their organization. Imprison their members. Break the power of the mob.
Hello, hello, hello. What's up, world? What's up, world? What's up, world? I have returned with another ADH Wealth Solution. And today, we're going to be reading about your net worth, your gross salary, and what they mean. An article published April 2017 by Dr. Anwar Yusuf Dunbar. So, with that, we're going to read through this article. And through these wealth solutions, again, I am not discriminatory. However, I am an African-American gentleman myself. And what I like to do is seek out other African-American professionals so that we can show and help to close that financial wealth gap by leaning on the fact that there are African-Americans who are professionals in many different areas, not just barbershops, clothing lines, and restaurants. Not diminishing those, but we do have a large amount of other things with which we can watch. What's going on? Big discussions. How we doing today? So as I share my screen, we're going to go ahead and take a look at this article. And Let's take a look here. So as you see, it says your net worth, your gross salary, and what they mean. Now, there is a note. The subject matter in this blog post is not new. It has been known for years by those who learned about it in their families or who have discovered it on their own. It's simply a discussion from a personal perspective, which I think is worth visiting. The pictures displayed throughout this post are from the east side of his hometown in Buffalo, New York. My first money lessons started there, a lot of what not to do, and they capture the essence of some of the money challenges facing my brothers and sisters in my hometown and across the country. So life is literally a lottery, and regardless of your color or nationality, one of its immutable truths is that you can't control the family you were born into. You can't control the parents you are born to, which likewise dictate the privileges and advantages you have access to. We often think of privilege in terms of black and white privilege. But there are also black families that have privileges over other black families. The family you are born into, in large part, guides your start in life. The information and the values that will dictate your early life choices, good or bad, though they don't necessarily shape all that comes afterwards. A good thing for some. Now, neither of my parents talked about what a net worth was when I was growing up. As described in the Big Words blog site story, my mother and her siblings were first generation college students, descendants of parents who were a part of the Great Migration. My father's situation was similar. They were children of the Civil Rights era, and thus the big goal for them was earning college degrees and then securing stable jobs on equal footing with their white peers. That for them was winning, and it was also a surpassing of their elders. For those of us born from their generation, i.e. Generation X, going to college was also expected. But what would be the next level for us? What would winning look like for our generation? These days, I have a lot of discussions via text message with my brother Amal and 3 close friends from Hutch Tech High School in Buffalo, New York. The twins, Aleem and Raheem Gaines, and our other buddy, Heston Brown. All week long, we discuss topics including sports, politics, and some of the silly stuff we see in the media, on Black Twitter and on Facebook. We discuss social issues as well as, particularly as they relate to the Black community. We're a Black males support group, or even our own little think tank. Recently, in a group dialogue that started out with a controversy regarding Tyrese Gibson's spouse and whether she was actually Black, something else much more important came up: the concept of one's net worth. I want to pause there. This is Jermaine. Reading this brother's article, it's ironic because in my own personal experiences, I stumbled across this. And so it's beautiful that a Black man is reaching out. One of your common hashtags that you'll see I point, or I usually place in most of my posts in my 10 Cash Commandments and in my ADH Wealth Solutions, tends to be hashtag each one teach one. Right? And stay down till you come up. So this gentleman is showing an example of each one teaching one by giving his personal experiences and leaving it there as public information. Anyone can come across this. And giving a story of net worth. Now, the beauty of this is, as you know, with my own story, I got shot 5 times trying to be 50 Cent, ended up 25 Cent. But that's because I didn't have a role model like this, who's a gentleman who's an actual doctor to look up to. I had to look up to Dr. Dre, not Dr. Dunbar. You see, so there is a little bit of a difference there. Let me take a brief moment because I like to sip some water before I continue reading. All right. So Aleem cited something he heard about listing what Black men in the United States earn in terms of average gross income. I responded, wondering what the breakdown was for Black women, and Aleem on cue cited the 2010 study by Mariko Chang describing Black and Hispanic women having average net worths of only $100 and $120. I quickly pointed out that there was a difference between one's gross income and their net worth. My brother, the eldest in the group, asked what net worth was. For perspective, we're all just above the age of 40. Alim and I both knew the answer and gave it. I shared that I was first introduced to the term in my late 20s, but didn't completely grasp it until my mid 30s. Very, very late in the game. I pondered the fact that my brother still hadn't grasped it yet. Not a knock on him by any means, just our life's circumstance. I then wondered how our own life decisions would have been different had we known this important concept in our teens. Just briefly, your net worth is the numerical difference between what you own and what you owe. Your savings and your assets minus your debts and obligations. Your savings are self-explanatory. The amount of liquid cash you have available and can access quickly. Assets can be anything from securities such as stocks, gold, or silver, real estate, investments, equity in your home, or profitable businesses. I'll also include life insurance as probably the easiest and most liquid form of net worth capital. If you're an employee, a major contributor to your net worth is your retirement savings, which is a life insurance product. That's if you've been disciplined enough and able to steadily set money aside. Debts are self-explanatory as well. Common forms of debt are credit cards, car notes, mortgages, home equity lines of credit, loans against your retirement savings, etc. I'd only started learning about what a net worth was in my late 20s, out of curiosity and chance. Books like The Rich Dad, Poor Dad talked about it, in addition to The Millionaire Next Door. In Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University, the term is not explicitly addressed, but FPU's baby steps ultimately lead to a steadily increasing net worth. Okay, so really quick, I want to speak to Dave Ramsey because Dave Ramsey, he and Sue Zorman are big financial advisors, and one of their huge things is buy term, invest the rest, which is a great idea. However, they don't explain to you things like the 2 and 20 rule, which I'll explain in another video and I've explained in the past, or that life insurance is not a waste of money like they say, but it is an asset. So much so that one of Dave Ramsey's largest financial holdings is a cash value life insurance policy. He will not tell you to purchase cash value life insurance, yet his largest holding is a cash value life insurance policy. I just thought I'd throw that in there. Okay, so what's the big deal about this somewhat abstract and nebulous term that only few understand? The answer is that your net worth is a metric of your wealth, which is very, very different than your gross salary. This is a critical distinction because a high gross salary doesn't necessarily translate into a high net worth. A person or couple can have high gross salaries and still have a negative net worth. So one moment, I want to get back here and take a second to wet my mouth. So in Black America, we're often enamored and impressed with individuals who make six figures. Similar to one's occupation, making six figures by itself can be deceptive. You would assume that a medical doctor, a lawyer, or a news anchor would be very comfortable, but not necessarily. The same is true for someone who makes six figures. Imagine a person had a gross salary of 100,000 and their expenses are 95,000. They're essentially broke, right? Beyond a certain point, your gross income is what Malcolm Gladwell in his book Outliers calls an entrance criteria, an attribute that allows you entry into a club, though it isn't a predictor of greatness. Excellence criteria is what separates the great from the average and the underachievers. These are things that allow one to become wealthy in this case. Contrary to the images we're bombarded with in the media, the excellence criteria for building your net worth don't necessarily involve a lavish, high consumption lifestyle. In other words, Birkin bags, multi-million-dollar condos, Gucci belts, saying $40 a month is too much for life insurance, but spending $40 a day on lotto, things like that. But instead being frugal and careful with one's money, not spending daily on certain habits like myself smoking cigarettes every day. It's something that diminishes my health. Why in the French toast would I idiotically spend money on something that doesn't even give me a buzz and makes me stink and makes my constituents not want to do business with me and makes my life insurance cost 3 times more than someone who is the exact same height, weight, and age as me? Dr. Thomas Stanley wrote extensively about this in his Millionaire Next Door series. This means that many people are chasing after the wrong things in life and not knowing it until it's too late. What are some keys to growing your net worth? Some of them include budgeting one's money and controlling costs, learning to run a surplus versus a deficit. That is very important. As an advisor, some of the things I go through with clientele, and if this doesn't go too long, I think I want to show a few ways that when you sit with a financial advisor, such as myself, you learn about your net worth, because that's part of what we do. Part of what I do is to help identify and protect your lifestyle. So, saving money gradually in an emergency fund, retirement, and then potentially for investments, and carrying the least amount of debt possible. I do disagree with carrying the least amount of debt. Robert Kiyosaki, the writer of Rich Dad, Poor Dad as well, enjoys carrying a large amount of debt. Now, there are some nuances to this, and likely the author of this particular blog post was mentioning a personal debt. But one of the beautiful things about debt, and it's even taught to you in real estate teachings, is the beauty of OPM, or other people's money. And part of using the principle of OPM, or other people's money, is to carry debt. What are some keys to keeping and maintaining a low/negative net worth? Well, some of them include spending more than you earn and spending everything that you earn. And many people who make 6 and even 7 figures are more in this position than people who make less. There's a rapper who had mentioned, by the name of Biggie Smalls, who had mentioned more money, more problems. And I find that to be absolutely 100% true, that there are, one second, I found that to be absolutely true in my field of work. When I sit with my clientele, the lower income individuals tend to actually be living more comfortably than the higher earning individuals. Just because one earns six figures does not mean that they should be living high off of the horse because, one spouse earns more by themselves than, a couple who are high key holders at, their retail job. There's levels to everything. One of the huge debts also is student loans, which can end up being for a lot of people a mortgage before they're even able to obtain a mortgage. I apologize, I'm rambling, and I want to get back to the article before I show you guys what I call in my world a fact finder, which is identifying and protecting one's lifestyle. So spending everything you earn, not saving anything, and carrying large amounts of debt, particularly on the things that lose value or don't justify borrowing the money. Cars, sneakers, and degrees, which don't lead to well-paying jobs. So again, what that means is things like revolving debt. Don't get a fucking Macy's card for no reason to then just go buy a bunch of all-clad $1,200 pots and pans that a flashy salesman who works at Macy's Herald Square is going to sell to you. $1,200 being for one freaking pan. And then it gets worse if you go to places like, Bloomingdale's, or even worse if you go to places like Bergdorf Goodman. The places that I'm mentioning are giving you clues into the net worths of clientele that I deal with. There are a lot of people who have no clue who or what Bergdorf Goodman is. In his Rich Dad, Poor Dad series, Robert Kiyosaki actually defines wealth as the amount of time one can go without working while still being able to cover expenses. But what are the greater implications of growing your net worth and wealth? It's cool to see that article there for the barbershop. So also, if you are in the Connecticut area, this is a shameless plug for a relative of mine who owns All Star Lineup. Even if he doesn't plug me, I don't care. I want Black nations to grow. And ironically enough, if you watch the PBS documentary, Boss, the Black Business Experience, it shows you the first designers of wealth that created Black Wall Street were first barbers and hair salons, and next was insurance agents, until the largest insurance companies at the time, which were Prudential and New York Life, started to decline policies left and right because they were Black people. So Black American barbers and wealthy insurance agents put together their funds to create companies such as North Carolina Mutual. Also recently, Magic Johnson spent $17 billion, yes, billion with a B, dollars to purchase a life insurance company called Equitrust. So there are ways to grow wealth. They can position you to do things like build businesses. They can be used to donate to charities and to give other students, for example, the chance to go to school to better themselves. Something sorely needed in Black America. This is the importance of organizations like UNICEF, the United Negro College Fund, for example. They can be used to fund political candidates and campaigns. Does that sound like Dr. Claude Anderson? And have a true seat at the table when national and local policy decisions are made. At the end of the day, politics is all about money, right? In Black America right now, discussions like the ones my buddy and I have are actually taking place about the differences between having a high net worth and having a high salary, which I see all too often, and it tears me apart. I see many people who make lots of money and they don't have a high net worth. Again, two things which don't necessarily correlate. One gentleman on Twitter, a Nigerian, I think, who regularly beats the net worth drum, often rebutting people who think they've made it because they've attained a high gross salary and have luxury items like Mercedes Benzes and BMWs. I could talk to that too. While the average African American who earns $60,000 purchases a Mercedes Benz, which generally tend to, on average, because of the luxury accoutrement and aftermarket products we buy, be $100,000 plus cars. The average Caucasian male high school dropout whose net worth is $10,000 purchases a Ford F-150, even though if it is the King Ranch $150,000 version, he still is able to utilize that truck for work, not in just as things like Uber or Uber Eats, but in things like hauling away large items and getting things like government contracts. While these prestigious toys, while these are prestigious toys, they gradually lose value and deceptively don't translate into wealth. The interesting thing about one's net worth is that it can't be negotiated with one's employer. It's something that must be decided and acted upon by the individual once they understand it. Like choosing to eat healthy or choosing to continue to eat an unhealthy diet. So I need to pause there and take some retrospect because this is something that, especially with African American men, we need to speak to. And there are too many of us who suffer from things like diabetes in our 40s, which is ridiculous. Now I'm upset. Black man, what is wrong with you? We aren't protecting ourselves. So, yeah, kind of no, black women aren't protected. How is my wife protected when my blood pressure is 192 over 125? So if something goes bump in the night, if there's a spider on her shoulder, and she's expecting me to protect her, because that's the oath I took as a husband, that's the fucking oath, that's the oath I took. How dare I run around at a damn near heart attack with a blood pressure of 192 over 125? That means that I'm stressing my wife and I'm not protecting her because she's in fear for my life. If something goes bump in the night and there's nothing wrong, but I get up and get startled, I may have a heart attack. So am I protecting her or am I neglecting her? Black man, what the French toast are we doing? Excuse me. I'm trying to keep the colorful language to a minimum because things like this in Black America, when we're reading about finances, etc., as opposed to Cardi B's weave or what Snoop Dogg said about it, we need to have our children in these conversations, which is generally and ultimately things that this man is coming to. Because my child can sing the WAP song. My child learned how to play spades, as many of us who were born in the 80s and 70s did, by sitting around the table, watching our grandparents and parents smoke Kool and Newport cigarettes, drink E&J, VSOP, and Hennessy, and learn how to cut a fucking deck of cards. Yet they didn't teach us anything about our net worth, about financial stability, about how to fill out a lease, about what a triple net lease or a gross lease is when you're doing commercial real estate if you own a barber shop. But I know how to get that flashy Benz and get raped out there. You know what a Benz means? The Benz symbolizes that I have a lot of money to purchase a car that breaks down a lot and afford the fucking maintenance. You idiot ass people. That's what the fuck having a Benz or a Beamer means. Or I could get a Toyota, which is the same thing as a Lexus. Did you happen to know that Bugatti and Porsche and Audi are owned by Volkswagen? The poor man's Porsche? I apologize. I shouldn't go onto this diatribe. But sometimes, I guess, these things are necessary. Let me take a brief moment. I want to respond to some of these comments here. Actually, we have the author who says, insurance is not my expertise. I'll defer to you, bro. Gentlemen, if you don't mind, once I get through this article, because we are speaking about net worth, I am going to show you a sit down that I've done with an actual client, because I think it's important to see men who are millionaires who are not protecting themselves. One, to see Black men who are millionaires and to know that it's attainable, and to know one thing about your net worth. If you are broke right now and you're a Pookie or a Ray Ray in the streets, but you have children, and you still don't want to be labeled the negative of a Pookie or a Ray Ray. Because if we look at what Pookie and Ray Ray is, which it's very much homage to the Crips, because there's people like Barefoot Pookie, who was an original West Side 80s Crip, or Ray Ray, which would be Raymond Washington, the originator of the Baby Cribs or the Crips. Those gentlemen actually started off. Bear with me 1 second. I have a phone call coming in. Hold on for me 1 second. This is Alonzo speaking. Okay, I apologize for that. Where was I? So, in terms of the expertise to insurance. So, the Pookie and the Ray Ray comment, I was a Pookie myself, I'll be honest. But at any rate, you can be a millionaire overnight, right? Nipsey Hussle gave you the blueprint in his song Rap Niggas. $1 million life insurance on my flesh. Right now, $1 million life insurance, if you break it down to the law of 20, is $50,000 a year for 20 years. That's what happens. That's what you're leaving your family when you leave $1 million worth of life insurance. However, it also, if you're purchasing a life insurance policy, regardless of if it is a term policy, a permanent policy, whether it's whole life, universal life, index universal life, or variable universal life. If it is a life insurance policy, the moment that you are approved for that policy, you are adding to your net worth. So let's take an example. Let's say you purchase a house and that house is appraised for $250,000, but let's say it's appraised for $400,000, but your mortgage is $500,000. So you are in essence in the red $100,000. A negative $100,000 is your net worth, because your house costs more than it is worth. Now, let's say you go ahead and you get a $1 million life insurance policy. So let's subtract the $500,000 of debt that you have from that. Your immediate net worth is $500,000, because you are worth $1 million in this life insurance policy in the event that you die. And if you live and there's cash value accumulating, you're worth more than $1 million. But just for the case of protecting of that one life insurance policy, and for the case in this particular scenario, again, those who missed my home buying seminar teaching you how to use life insurance to buy a house will understand that with CG Wealth Solutions, we all are specialists. So I specialize in alternative concepts through life insurance, such as business owners buy-sell agreements, high net worth individuals, college savings plans, and many other things such as retirement and etc., utilizing life insurance as the base or the foundation and tax shelter for doing those things. So I want to get back into the article, because I did go off on the diatribe, and I don't want to be hours and hours long. But I did want to speak to the nonsense that Black men are doing in our own health. And that was namely speaking to myself. having many Black men who have blatantly told me to my face they appreciate the value in the information I give, but they feel that I don't take myself serious because I don't take my health serious. So when they find me taking my health more serious, they'll be able to take my financial acumen more serious, because they'll figure, well, you must want to be alive to teach us this. Otherwise, why are you trying to teach us this, sir? Which is a hard pill to swallow. Excuse me. It can be legislated. It can't be legislated or forced upon groups of people, nor should it be. It's a personal choice, just like practicing a religion or choosing a spouse. Speaking of which, I read that judges actually consider a couple's net worth during divorces and usually just split everything down the middle. A source of tension, particularly when one of the spouses hasn't earned the assets being split. Gentlemen will also give you a quick loophole to stuff. Getting betrothed in the state of Nevada will avoid you from having to provide spousal support. Again, being betrothed in the state of Nevada, getting your marriage license in the state of Nevada avoids you having to pay spousal support. Therefore, there are loopholes to everything, gentlemen. So if you do have someone who you are considering making your wife, as another YouTube creator says, there is no sense in not making her your wife. Now, as we speak to that, I do want to say I personally waited 7 years until I asked my wife to marry me. And that's because I feel, just like with childhood friendships, if you are staying with a person and know a person for 7 years, it's likely that relationship will last a lifetime. And the thought process behind that is, in a marriage, if you are expecting to spend the rest of your life with me, then spending that 7 years should not be an issue. Now, let's read the rest of the article. Tasha and Ron are living large. She's a school administrator and he's a fireman. My mother said about a couple in their 40s who are friends of the family. She was looking at their professions and what she thought their salaries were and concluded that they were winning financially. Actually, you don't know that, Mom, I said in reply. People can look like they're making it on the outside, but without knowing their savings, their bills, and their debts, what their savings, bills, and debts are, you don't really know how they're doing. My response echoed Robert Kiyosaki's books, where he stated that an individual's financial success is actually dictated by their income statement and balance sheet. Two things you can't see just by looking at someone, but things that banks weigh highly when qualifying individuals for mortgages and or business loans. What prevents individuals from growing their net worths? Well, several things, actually. One is ignorance. If no one ever, if no one ever tells you about it and you don't stumble upon the information, you'll never know. Secondly, personal choices prevent one from doing it. It takes discipline and drive, and many individuals lack those. As a man, if you recklessly have had a bunch of kids and you're bogged down in child support payments, you'll probably never get there. This article is something that speaks to many issues that we see in the Black community today. And I don't know that there is 100% a solution to these issues. What I do know is that there are people who are making efforts to improve not only their lives, but the lives of others, of people who look like them and act like them. And in Black America, there's one thing that's very dangerous, and I think we should get away from, and that's fear mongering. So one of those things that we do in fear mongering is we peace, Rael, what's going on, brother? Peace, Clan Killer, peace, she, we here, peace, Dr. Dunbar. You know, it's dangerous. There's things that we speak to about things like wealthy Black people being in fraternal organizations, or even weird ones, made up ones, like this whole Black Boule. We should want the Black Boule. We should want an elite class of Black people. See, here's the thing we're failing to see when we look at hierarchy in, let's say, white America. Let's look at things like individual handouts. There are approximately 20% of white Americans use things like public assistance, welfare, etc. 40 million Americans is approximately 100% of the African American, those Americans who identify as African American. So approximately 45 million people are quote unquote Black, and approximately 40 million people are quote unquote white, are on welfare. So 100% of their fucked up people, or 20% of their fucked up people, is 100% of our people as a whole. So things like saying there shouldn't be a problem with an elite class of Black people. We should want that, and we should aspire to that. There are elite white people. White people will quickly tell you there's white trash. And that's why white people created quote unquote white supremacy, and they dangle the carrot of the Mexican and the Black man taking your jobs in front of you, because the white man owns the corporation and he don't want the poor white trash to come get it. So he tells you, hey, look at them there, Negroes and Mexicans. I digress. At any rate, if you're a single mother also with many kids, you'll also have a hard time getting there as well. It's not impossible, just exponentially more difficult. In one of his videos, Dr. Boyce Watkins stated that the average cost of a child is $250 million up until it turns 18 years of age. The other piece is, and this is why I generally say, even if you work at McDonald's, if you have a child who's under the age of 13, you need at least $1 million worth of life insurance, or $50,000 a year for 20 years. This is making minimum wage at McDonald's. You still need $1 million worth of life insurance. Dave Ramsey will tell you otherwise, because he wants to tell you that life insurance agents make a hefty commission, but he doesn't tell you about the 2% annual net worth that he charges you, or the 20% of your gains. See, that doesn't sound like a whole bunch when you're not making a lot of money, but when you're making, $250,000 a year, 2% of your net worth annually for no fucking reason other than a mutual fund you bought 10 years ago doesn't really make sense. When you figure that, and I have a video on it, when you find out that a traditional IRA, not a Roth IRA, but a traditional IRA beats tax-wise every other retirement vehicle out there. Well, just about every other retirement vehicle out there. The other piece is that in some instances, particularly in Black America, only a handful of people in a given family get educated and earn a decent salary. And I want to speak to that too in conversations that I have with gentlemen in many spaces. There was a gentleman who was explaining with Black families what tends to happen with other families. Things like when you get married, they help you to do things like buy a house. They don't say, hey, can you buy a house and we move in with you? Because that's not going to help you afford that house. There's this thing called the mortgage. You have to pay it. And it don't get paid by, we family and I'll sweep up the fucking deck for you. That don't pay this $5,000 a month mortgage. Anyway, I digress. So those individuals are often looked upon to take care of everyone else. A potential siphoning off of siphoning off of the wealth. As Dr. Michael Eric Dyson said, partially joking, at the 2015 Congressional Black Caucus annual legislative conference. That day, he was leading a wealth building panel. Growing a high net worth doesn't necessarily involve going to get a PhD, an MD, a PharmD, or a JD. You actually don't necessarily need a college degree to do it. It simply requires a steady stream of income, understanding debt, and priorities. This is what Dave Ramsey meant when he said money is 20% knowledge and 80% behavior. Also, I do free consults. So once you see the consult at the end of this, I'll leave my contact information and we can schedule a 30 to 45-minute consult to help you identify and protect your financial situation. Shameless plug. This is also one of, also remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you get notified when I do go live, and make sure that you visit my social media and donate to the Cash App to support the channel so we can grow and continue to bring you content such as this. This is also one of the key principles in Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow game, the cash flow quadrant, where players must choose their profession before playing. Now, this is a beautiful thing. For example, persons such as myself. So you'll see people such as myself, real estate agents, tax advisors, insurance brokers, stock brokers, life coaches, who puff our chests out because we make $100,000. But we're still on the left side of that cash flow quadrant, meaning we only own our jobs. We are not entrepreneurs. We are not business owners. So we have to bust our ass 24/7 because the moment we are not clown singing and dancing for you, we lose money. We don't make money in our sleep. Okay, what we do is we work hard 24/7. So, this is also one of the key principles in Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow game, where players must choose their profession before playing. One would think in the game that it would be easier to get out of the rat race by being one of the higher income professionals like the doctor, the lawyer, or the airline pilot. But it's actually easier to be the web designer or the janitor, or in most cases, the salesperson. While they generate less gross income, they also carry far less debt and have fewer bills. Their cost per child is also less than the higher income professionals. Understanding what a net worth is and then making the decisions to grow it is a paradigm shift and a powerful one. As with most things, we all have lives, and everyone's situations are unique. We all have relatives and friends who may not necessarily understand the decisions and temporary sacrifices being made. And thus, it's important to know your own motivations. You have to know your why. Again, a net worth is not a salary that you make every year. It's a result of spending habits and very specific money choices. How often should it be calculated? One of my mentors told me you should calculate or do a financial review at least one every 2 years. The reason why the tax code changes at least one every 2 years, things like your real estate agent, your financial advisor, your stockbroker, your insurance agent who sells your car insurance have to go through continuing education every 2 years. Medicine changes every 2 years. The price of gas and milk changes every 2 years. So the minimum is every 2 years. How often should it be calculated? One of my mentors told me that it should be calculated quarterly. If you haven't been paying attention to it, your initial assessment may not look pretty, but it gives you a place to start from, kind of like a doctor's checkup. So, what's your net worth? Don't answer that. From experience, just like your gross income, it's best if you keep it to yourself and only share with a trusted few, if anyone at all. Money does different things to different people. And when people think you have it, it can do strange things to your relationships, your relatives, and your friends. You know, the author of this did a video about this, and I actually spoke to the income levels of some personal levels. I hope you were able to look on. I'm sure there's places like here's a place, Black people. And if you know the federal government, my wife actually wanted me to mention this. The federal government, the US government, is a great place for Black men to scale and gain income. It's also fairly easy to get in. You can get in as low as a GS5. Which is, and if you have military experience, you do get preferential treatment. So Black men, go to usajobs.gov. That is usajobs.gov, and you can apply for many government jobs inside of the federal government. There is a song, I feel like a Black Republican, money I got coming in, and Nas said, well, he feels like a Black militant taking over the government. Well, I feel similar to the two, and the best way to take over the government is to infiltrate it from the inside by having them pay you. So again, that website is usajobs.gov. Black men, go get employed by the federal government. You do not always need to have a collegiate degree. I have friends that are friends with my wife who are members of the FBI. One thing, however, if you smoke marijuana, they do the hair test. They do pluck a hair. Again, that is usajobs.gov, usajobs.gov. I apologize if I sound like a broken record, but usajobs.gov. Black men, I want us to go get into that money game and get our bread up. So, thank you for taking the time to read this post. If you enjoyed this post, you may enjoy going to bigwordsarepowerful.com and taking a look at his website. While we're at that, I do need to do a shameless plug for my financial services group. That is CG Wealth Solutions Group, LLC. And I am an affiliate of that, and I am ADH Wealth Solutions. As I mentioned, if anyone would like to help a brother out in terms of reaching the elite, if you Google something called the MDRT, which I will share that with you guys right now, that's the $1 Million Round Table. This is something that this year I am close to qualifying for. As you see here, it says the Premier Association of Financial Professionals. This year, due to COVID, they have lowered the qualification requirements to collecting $122,000 worth of premium for the company. At this point, December, 15th, 17th, 2020, I have personally collected from my company $115,000 of premium. So if anybody has $7,500 that they want to throw into an IRA right quick, help a brother out so I can qualify and become an elite individual to bring you guys better things. The next thing I will be asking for is donations, because I am looking to go to another website, which is the American College of Financial Services. As you may or may not know, this is where financial professionals such as myself go to get designations and degrees to help us to stand out in the community for people such as yourself who would like to work with people such as ourselves. So I am going for 2 designations. One is the Certified Financial Planner. However, first I'm going to go for this, which is the Wealth Management Certified Professional. And what I may do is create a GoFundMe because I would like a little bit of help in terms of paying for the tuition. The tuition in this, I believe, is not very expensive. It is $3,500. However, I work off of 100% commission. So your insurance agent and your real estate agent are much more similar to that Pookie and Ray Ray drug dealer than you think, because the only way I earn any money is to make a sale. So I eat what I kill. It's a lovely game. So when you get paid well, but when you don't, you don't. So again, here we're going to take a look at the WCMP and why you should consider working with a WCMP. As you'll see, the American College of Financial Services, the credentials use contemporary investment management, portfolio management, and financial planning strategies to bring a new level of value to the relationship between financial advisors and investors in a program with the highest degree of accreditation. So really quick, I'm going to stop sharing that because one of the things that I told you guys that I was going to share with you is something called a fact finder. And what a fact finder is, I know I'm talking like Poindexter, really, it sounds funny as hell. I was laughing today. I was on a panel where, again, I tell my story as to why I started selling life insurance. 2008, 3 days before Mother's Day, I was in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Those who kick up dust or do dirt know it as the Tray Faux. I was working at Wendy's and selling marijuana. And representing a specific gang. The people in that neighborhood represented a gang that was opposite of mine, but they respected me enough not to bother me, or so I thought, until they realized that this guy from up north is representing a different gang, recruiting us. He's basically building an empire right under our noses. So this is why we look at the Pookies and the Ray Rays, or people such as Jay Morrison, who started his career flipping coke and then became a great real estate agent with Sotheby's. Fucking Sotheby's. If you don't know what Sotheby's is, check it out. Just like if you don't know what Bergdorf Goodman is, check it out. And then go buy a $25,000 Tom Ford wristlet. And then come holler at your boy for some financial services. What's going on, brother? So I am going to share a fact finder here with you guys. Let me see here. Which one is it? Is it this one? So as you'll see here, we see the client's name. It is not his actual name, but it's a buddy of mine who lives in Houston, Texas. And he is a real estate developer. Basically, he used to fix and flip homes. But now what he does is he buys and he holds some of those homes. In one of my 10 cash commandments, that I spat that you could catch on my Instagram. I said, own 4 doors before you buy yours. Obviously, being a licensed real estate agent in the state of New York, I have some insight as to why I would say some shit like that. Excuse my language, but I curse like a sailor like Dr. Boyce Watkins, so fuck it. Either you like it or you don't. So this, as you can see, is provided by ADH Wealth Solutions. Let me increase this because I doubt you guys can even see this right now. So as you'll see, this is provided by Alonzo Hall of ADH Wealth Solutions, an affiliate of CG Wealth Solutions Group, LLC. Our location is 3100 47th Ave, Suite 3100, Long Island City, New York, 11101. And for shits and giggles, I'll put my contact info in here. So in the event that you do want to contact me, that's my direct cell phone. And there is my email, 374@gmail.com. Okay, so as you'll see here, this confidential questionnaire, I do this with every client because we need to identify and protect your lifestyle. And your lifestyle is going to be very different than the next person, even if they live next door to you and drive the same fucking car. So generally, when I start with this, I'm going to tell the person, we're going to go through all of this. And I am a licensed insurance agent, okay? I am a financial advisor. What I explain to people is I got rid of all the licenses that I have that can lose you money. So when you're dealing with me, the moment you place a dollar with me, it's going to be of increase. Okay, there's no speculation when you're dealing with me. There's only increase. Now, I can check your risk tolerance and I can take you to speculative products, but then I'm going to start charging you 2 and 20 and 2% of your annual net worth just for buying a fucking mutual fund. Some of you people aren't even accredited investors. But you think because you're on Stash or Acorn or Bitcoin, these are great things to get into. I'm not disparaging them. but don't diminish. And I all too often hear, especially from the Black community, you diminish what the fuck I do. So when I bite back, then I become the asshole. Then I'm the bad guy. It don't feel good getting bit, do it. Well, just know that if you can bite, a motherfucker can bite back. And I tend to bite back a lot more vicious than the motherfuckers who bite me. Just an FYI. So, as we go through this, you'll see that we start with your planning priorities, okay? And one of the things that we've been screaming about in some of the circles that I hang in with Black men is the issue with protecting and provision. So, one of the things that we talk about that Black women say is we're not protected often. And this may be one of the things that they're talking about, because if you'll notice here, it says planning priorities, planning priorities. Planning priorities. And one of the main questions in there is for protecting and providing for your family's lifestyle. So yes, in this quote unquote gynocracy in the rest of the world where men smack their women, yes, they still think about protecting and providing. So at the end of the day, the woman is the gem that they are protecting and providing for, because the woman is that incubates their legacy, which is their child. Right? So they're protecting or providing their seed, their legacy, right? And when I say that, let's look at JP Morgan Chase and Morgan Stanley. JP Morgan Chase is Morgan Stanley's grandfather. So the JP Morgan Chase Bank family and Financial Services Corporation, because some of the clients I know have their money managed by Chase Private Client. And then the people who have their money at Morgan Stanley, it's all the same family, because somebody protected and provided for a future for their children's lifestyle. So then after I ask you all these questions, I'm going to ask you, protecting your family's lifestyle, how important is that to you? High, medium, or no value? High value, low value, medium value, no value. Protecting income, your current income, high, medium, low, or none. Providing education funds, implementing a savings plan, planning for retirement, minimizing estate shrinkage. Everybody I speak to who I ask this question has no freaking clue what minimizing estate shrinkage even is. Long and short of it is making sure that when you die, the things that you pass on to people, they get it. Right? And you don't have lawyers and estate planning people and insurance agents and all this other shit in your dead pockets, and tax attorneys all in your dead pockets. And then your grandkid can't buy a freaking Mustang that's all you wanted to do was leave your grandkid enough money to buy a freaking Mustang. Planning for business continuation. And then I always ask at the end, Mr. or Mr. Client, is there anything else that we did not address here that you find of importance that you would find of high, medium, low, or no value? Well, if there's no value, they wouldn't put it there, but high, medium, or low value. And then how much do you feel comfortable setting aside on a monthly basis? This gentleman said, I could put $3,000. And I ask anyone, how much money do you feel comfortable setting aside to protect all of this on a monthly basis? All I'm asking you is, how much money are you comfortable spending on a life insurance policy? Because a life insurance policy is going to protect and provide for all of this. But if I simply said, would you spend $3,000 on a life insurance policy? Most of you ignorant motherfuckers tell me, oh, that's too expensive. I want to think about it. But then again, I'm the asshole. So let's go up here. As you see, this gentleman is a 41-year-old man who was born in 1978. He's a self-employed real estate owner with 2 daughters. Okay. He has no trusted contacts. We didn't get into his address and how much he pays a month for his mortgage. I'll show you guys that a little later. But he has no trusted contacts. He has no will. He has no spouse. He has no attorney. And he has no accountant. But this motherfucker got it figured out because, hey, I own real estate. I got millions of dollars, motherfucker. Do you? So let's see. He's a self-employed property manager. Now, his business earns $250,000 a year. He pays himself $150,000 a year. So his business, actually, he's protecting a $400,000 a year income in total. The way you calculate that is if his business on the books has $250,000 left over after paying himself $150,000. That's $400,000 of income to protect. Okay, and that's how you would calculate that. Give me 1 second. I'm getting a DM from my mother, of all people. Hi, Mom. And I'm going to place y'all on a brief hold because I have a dry mouth at the moment. So hold for me for 1 minute.
And nothing short of it.
Actually, will. Alrighty. All right, I have returned. So, where are we here? So again, this gentleman is protecting a $400,000 annual income for his business, and a personal income of 150K. All right, so in total, that's 400 grand. Now let's look at his financial information. So let's take a look at his assets and his liabilities. So in savings, he has 100 grand. So he's like, hey, I'm living comfortably. He has $180,000 worth of investments, and he owns $1.5 million worth of real estate. So his total assets being calculated on that, not including life insurance, are $1.78 million. Now, this guy lives pretty modestly, apparently, if he's giving me his actual numbers, which generally often most people I sit with give me bullshit numbers because, they want to look better than they actually are. But hey, it doesn't bother me because when you give me bullshit numbers, I end up resulting in giving you bullshit stuff back. But, this guy was living modestly. So he has $50,000 in installment loans. Apparently, he only owes $400,000 left on the mortgages of the real estate, which is logical because he's been owning real estate for over 20 years. So probably he's just extracting equity from one property and either buying in full or putting large down payments on the properties. And then letting the rents pay for the mortgages. And the only reason he's carrying the mortgages or the debt is for the tax benefit of carrying debt. He has $60,000 of debt in credit cards for a total of $500,000 in total liabilities. Now, he also said that he has $3,000 of monthly systemic savings. Now, he has a life insurance policy here with American Family Life Insurance Company that he bought. He doesn't remember exactly when, but he knows he bought it in the year 2000. Now, he knows he's paying approximately $300 a year. What that tells a financial professional, and he said it's $360,000. What that it tells a financial professional to myself is that it's likely a term policy. And since you got it 20 years ago and you're still paying for it, it's probably the most common policy type that is sold, which is a 20-year term, because most people only think of life insurance as a death benefit and not an asset. So they want to buy the cheapest thing possible. Just like when you buy car insurance, you want to buy the cheapest thing possible until you get into a car accident. And then you go into the hospital. And then the people at the medical facility are asking if you have medical payments on your insurance. And you call your insurance agent and you say, well, I want to add medical payments because I didn't have it before. And the $5,000 a day or the $500 a day that you could be getting for being in the hospital, for being in that car accident, end up coming out of your pocket. And then you want to say that Geico is a scam. So this life insurance policy, which is less than even the $400,000 that he owes on the mortgage, which if over the course of 20 years, which most mortgages are 30 years, he's paying down this mortgage. That's $400,000. gentlemen, he's been fully fucking his family because he's only carried $360,000 worth of life insurance. And his liabilities are, while they are decreasing, are already greater than the life insurance he has. Let's realize, people, that just because you own a business or you run a business or you run real estate, your family has no desire to run your business. Excuse me. So he's in essence saying, hey, two young girls that I have that, they're going to be whatever way they are. I'm going to leave you this real estate that has mortgages on it. Because, men are dying from heart attacks in our 40s because we're not taking care of our health, which is a real hard pill to swallow. But nigga, stop acting like you ain't just have a fucking McRib, because the McRib came back at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm loving it. Right? So let's realize here that we're leaving our families unprotected. Oops. It's a hard pill to swallow. Besides the fact that, yes, black men, we do own businesses. This is a black man who owns businesses. This is a black man who bought his assistant a Series 3 BMW when she started with him. And he pays her $30,000 a year. Living in Houston, Texas, that's a pretty decent living. And your boss bought you a BMW. She happened to be a pretty chick, and she's young. He's older. She's about his daughter's age, but excuse me, I digress. It ain't simping if you got it. But and things like that. He bought her a BMW. But even when I'm talking to these girls, because I know some girls who do some things, I tell them, listen, why don't you get your sugar daddy to, instead of buying you a Birkin bag, get you a life insurance policy on him. See, there's something called single premium life insurance. This is what I'm talking to gentlemen who are able to afford those things. There's things such as single premium life insurance where you pay a premium one time. Like this gentleman, I would tell him to take, 50 grand of that 100K and buy a life insurance policy. Single shot, one shot deal. You don't got to worry about paying it ever again. Now, actually what I'll do is we're going to take a look at what a $50,000 premium looks like for a 41-year-old man after we finish breaking this down. Let me take a look at some of our comments that we have going on here. What's going on, people? Greetings, gentlemen. So I see someone is guilty of something, I guess guilty of using Robinhood. Someone here said Robinhood. Now, again, please do not think that I am diminishing or saying not to use Robinhood. I use Robinhood myself. I use Stash as well myself. I also purchased Bitcoin on my Cash App. I also use Stockpile, which is another investment app. I also do use Robinhood. With my Stash account, I opened a separate bank account with my Stash account so that I get stock back. So things like when I pay my cell phone bill, I use that bank account because that bank account, every time I purchase something with that bank account, then purchases me stock in T-Mobile. It's only like 7 cents at a time, but one share of T-Mobile is $107.77 last time I bought a whole share. But I can't talk to y'all about investments. It's highly regulated. That's why I talk to y'all about insurance. And now Bitcoin is king again. Dr. Boyce Watkins is going live talking about how a lot of people who aren't 100% financially savvy are going crazy over Bitcoin again. Dr. Boyce Watkins, the guy who has a PhD in what I do. Now, I'm not saying Bitcoin's a bad thing, but I personally am bearish on it. But again, every advisor is going to have a different viewpoint on it. Because I know some people who are making a fucking killing with Bitcoin. So don't diminish Bitcoin. It's some nice shit there too. So now, as we're moving forward, there's more information. So he has the life insurance policy, which is leaving his family completely unprotected. He has, for the last 20 years, His mortgage balance has outweighed his life insurance. So if he died, he couldn't even have purchased the real estate for his daughters. So what are you building legacy-wise? But he feels able to be big enough to puff his chest out because he's paying himself $150,000 a year. Just because you make six figures doesn't mean you bring home six figures. But let's also look at, he only has one life insurance policy. The wealthy buy life insurance on one life generally at least 7 times. We'll go over in another video what those reasons are. But the gentleman doesn't have any long-term care insurance. Now, do you think, let's think about it, black man. Who's the person who ends up taking care of Big Mama? If it's not a mother-daughter, if it's not the codependent mother-daughter, then some form of a man ends up taking care of Big Mama. Whether Big Mama is the elder sister of all of the oldest people in the family, I'm sure I am not the only black family who has that. Or whether it's the youngest of the oldest of the grandsons, so you have to protect the grandmother, the mother, the aunts, the cousins, the sisters of that generation until the other young boys grow into their manhood. Right? But who's going to take care of us in the long term? No one. So you should want to have a long-term care insurance policy. Most people who tend to need long-term care insurance need it before they are the age, generally around the age of 45. And generally that happens due to things like car accidents or just regular life. Sports accident, I twisted my hip, I went to the chiropractor and he pulled too hard. Other insurance, things like disability, which I call paycheck insurance. I'll do a video on that as well. Critical illness insurance, or in the event that, what's that big killer, heart disease or cancer that black men tend to get, like colon cancer, because we don't go for our checkups because, it's gay to have the doctor put his thumb up your ass, but, it's fully heterosexual to die for no fucking reason because you could have just had somebody put their thumb up your ass and swallowed your pride and been alive to protect and provide for your family so that we can build nations, so that black men like myself who agree with people who think that black men aren't protecting and providing because we don't own any industry. Yeah, we own in small outliers, but we don't own any freaking industries. So we don't even protect ourselves. Because, we're starting to. Magic Johnson spent $17 billion on Equitrust. We can start taking over the insurance world. He doesn't have any health insurance at all. And his PNC, I generally don't bother with PNC. PNC is more or less concerning ourselves with liability. And then that varies from state to state. For example, in the state of New York, your limits of liability are 25, 50, 10. And what that means is in the event of a car accident. Actually, let's talk about that. Because people having car insurance, you're running around. And here's what you're doing. Let's say you have New York State minimum, which most people go around and get their minimum just so they can drive their fucking Mercedes Benz. 25, 50, 10. What that means is you are providing, in the event that you get into a car accident, $25,000 up to $25,000 per person in the accident that is outside of your vehicle. So if you get into a car with 4 people in the other car, that's up to $25,000 per person in that car, not in your car, but in the car that the other car. So up to $25,000 per person for a maximum of $50,000 for the total incident. And a maximum of $10,000 property damage. Meanwhile, you just went to get this fucking Beamer, and this asshole just went to go get this Benz, and both of you bought them from a fucking buy here, pay here place, and they overcharged you, but they charged you $12,996 for each one of those 2007 luxury vehicles. You motherfuckers bought it, got the minimum insurance, and now both of you are fucked and got to pay out of pocket. But I digress. So, those are just some of the things that we see there. And I I'm not sure who Greenwood Band is. I have a question here. Someone says, is Greenwood Band 100% Black owned? I'm not familiar with that company. That may be a regional thing. There are companies that are regional, and then there are companies that change their name. For example, AXA Equitable changed its name. MetLife changed its name to Bright House Financial, things of that nature. How long have I been going here? So I've been going for a little while. I'm getting a little tired. Greenwood Bank. Again, I'm not positive if they're Black owned or not. There is, if you go online onto Facebook, there's a gentleman by the name of AJ Hector who has a group called I Support Black Banks. And there is a list of regionally what banks are Black owned. For example, if you do affiliate with Morgan Stanley, Dean Witter, Smith Barney, who Morgan Stanley recently purchased E-Trade, they actually have a lot of their employees who have a credit union called Carver Federal Credit Union, which is a Black-owned credit union. The difficulty with Carver Federal Credit Union that I ran into is that they do not open business accounts, as do not many credit unions. Generally, why you need to go to a bank as opposed to a credit union to start a business bank account. At any rate, I've been going for over an hour. I got really excited in this. But as you can see here, just simply from this one life insurance policy, look, this dude makes $150K a year and he's not even protecting 20 years of his income or his fucking mortgage, yet, he's big balling. I bet you he drives a BMW. Like I said, he bought the little hot black chick a 3 Series BMW. Yeah, it's the cheapest BMW, but he bought her a BMW right off the rip. Meanwhile, he's telling me when I showed him a life insurance policy, I haven't heard back from this guy yet. But meanwhile, he's like, oh, yeah, dude, I'm good on life insurance. All right, drop dead tomorrow, motherfucker. What your daughter's got? Jack shit. Oh, why? Because the mortgage, well, they can't afford to pay that because they don't make $150,000 a year. These are 2 Black girls who are fucking college students. Oh, how easy do you think it is for them to access that $100,000 or that $180,000 in investments? Because when you die, your investments, you don't just get to pass down your investments, even in a fucking trust. I hate people who aren't financial advisors who say this shit. You know how you pass it down? It has to get liquidated. So you have to pay a stockbroker to sell your stocks or your investments at the price that they are during the time of your fucking death. So they might be doing better. They might be doing worse. And then you have to pay the commission to the stockbroker. And then you have to pay the commission to the executor of the estate. Oh, and then they get whatever's left. Oh, plus you have to pay Uncle Sam taxes on that shit. But this nigga's fucking covered. Fucking bullshit, nigga. Stop bullshitting. Right? This nigga got some nice numbers, nigga. I got $1.5 million in real estate, nigga. I'm doing this. Shut the fuck up, nigga. No, you not. Anyway. I apologize. With that being said, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. You're going to get cussing like a sailor from me like you get from Dr. Boyce Watkins. It is what it is. With that being said, this is one in a series of many where I will be highlighting information from other financial professionals and other Black professionals. And we'll be seeing a lot more of Mr. Mutai's information here as we go. For example, just before I do let us go and bang out. See, the job's not done when we do the first fact finder. There's more to it. Just like when you buy the life insurance, the job's not done. So this is a budget organizer. So again, this goes, and this is different numbers. So this is when people tell me, oh, I can't afford it, and I call your fucking bluff. See, I can break down how much you pay on what per month per fucking year. And this is usually at the point where people are like, how long is this going to take? Well, Give yourself some respect, motherfucker. How long is leaving your financial legacy gonna take? Because if I was telling you some bullshit about, oh, cryptocurrency is $1,600, you're gonna make a fucking bunch of money and getting your dick hard, you listen. But when I tell you some shit that's actual practical, like the reason that life insurance companies have been dividend paying, just like those stocks that you like, for over 120 years consistently, unlike those stocks that you like. They've been consistently paying dividends. Life insurance companies consistently paying dividends for over 120 years. That's why you hear of all these companies. But shit, fucking companies like John Hancock won't even let you apply for less than $750,000. But motherfuckers talking to me about $250,000. Meanwhile, if you work at McDonald's, you need to have at least $1 million or more. Anyway, I get off on my diatribe sometimes because I'm passionate about this, because I almost lost my life for no fucking reason trying to be a GGGG gangster when I see all these young dudes on the corner store who, as soon as I walk by, just because I'm a black man, I got that dope for sale. I got that, like ravenous freaks, but they won't pick up a fucking phone and cold call somebody. They think this shit is scary, you bitch ass niggas. I could say that I've been shot before. I stabbed niggas before, and I'll do it again. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, that calm, cool, collective guy busts his guns? Yes, because I believe in the Second Amendment right of gun ownership. Maybe you niggas should really bust your guns too, but learn how to fight. So when you're in prison, you don't get choked out like Jody and Baby Boy. Kevin Samuels knows fucking jujitsu and shit too. Don't let the smooth taste fool you niggas. At any rate, I've been going on for almost an hour and a half. I'm about to go blow it down and watch some YouTube. With that being said, everybody, peace, black power, one love. I'm out. Wrong fucking song.
Our goal is to break the power of the mob in America and nothing short of it. We mean to end their profits, imprison their
Wrong
members,
song again.
and cripple their organization.
Oh, fuck it. We'll close out with this. And cripple their organization.
Cripple their organization. Imprison their members.